What's up? So we need to talk about something that's been brewing in the NFL all season long. You know that weird kickoff thing they've been doing? The one that makes you think your stream froze for a second? Yeah, turns out it might not be as safe as the league thought it would be. New data just dropped, and it's raising some serious questions about whether the NFL's kickoff experiment is actually working. Let's break down what's happening, why it matters, and why even a former president is weighing in on this. Stick around because this gets pretty interesting. All right, so let's rewind for a second. Back in 2024, the NFL decided to completely overhaul how kickoffs work. They called it the dynamic kickoff, which, let's be honest, sounds way cooler than it actually looks. The whole idea was player safety. Kickoffs had become one of the most dangerous plays in football. You've got guys running full speed from opposite ends of the field, and then bam, massive collisions. The injury rate, especially concussions, was getting out of control. So what did they do? They shortened the running distance for the kicking team. Instead of that traditional format where everybody's sprinting 40 yards before impact, they tried to reduce those high-speed collisions. Makes sense on paper, right? But here's where it gets interesting. When they first rolled this out last season, barely anyone was returning kicks. We're talking only 31.7% through the first 7 weeks. Teams were just taking touchbacks left and right because the math didn't make sense to return them. The NFL saw this and thought, okay, we need to spice this up. So before this season started, they made another change. Now when you take a touchback, the ball goes to the 35-yard line instead of the 25. Basically, they're bribing teams to return kicks by giving them worse field position if they don't. And guess what? It worked! This season, 79.3% of kickoffs are being returned. That's a massive jump. The kickoff is back, kind of. But at what cost? Here's where things get uncomfortable. Remember how the whole point of changing the kickoff was to make it safer? Well, new data from The Athletic shows that concussion rates are actually climbing. Let me hit you with some numbers. This season, through the first 7 weeks, we're seeing 1.18 concussions per 100 kickoffs. Last year at this same point, it was 0.09. That's not just an increase, that's more than 10 times higher. And if we look specifically at kickoffs that get returned, it's even worse. We're at 1.48 concussions per 100 returned kicks this year, compared to just 0.29 last season. Now, before everyone panics, there's some context we need to consider. Last season, hardly anyone was returning kicks, remember? So yeah, the concussion rate was lower, but that's partly because guys weren't actually engaging with the play as much. This year, with way more returns happening, you're naturally going to see more injuries just because there's more action. But here's what's missing from this whole conversation. We don't have the 2023 numbers from before they changed the rule. The NFL put out some stats back in February saying concussions on kickoffs in 2024 were down 43% compared to 2021 through 2023, but we need that apples-to-apples comparison with a similar return rate to really know if this new system is safer. So the big question is, are we actually making the game safer, or are we just moving the danger around? Because if more returns equal more concussions, then maybe incentivizing returns wasn't the smartest move. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the former president on the podcast. Donald Trump has been one of the loudest critics of the new kickoff rule, and he's not holding back. He went on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week and absolutely ripped into it. His main argument? It kills the excitement of the game. He called it demeaning and said it hurts the pageantry of football. And look, whether you like Trump or not, he's got a point about the aesthetics. That moment where the ball's in the air and everyone's just standing there? It looks weird. It doesn't feel like football. There's something about the traditional kickoff, that moment of anticipation as the ball sails through the air and two teams are about to collide. That's just part of what makes football, well, football. Trump also told Roger Goodell directly that he doesn't think it's any safer. His argument is that guys are still crashing into each other, so what's the difference? And based on these new concussion numbers, that's becoming harder to argue against. The interesting thing is Trump represents a lot of football purists who feel like the NFL is tinkering too much with the game. They changed kickoffs, they changed overtime rules, they're constantly adjusting player safety protocols. At some point, does the game stop being football? But then again, Trump also said the NFL does what they want to do, and he doesn't think they'll change it back. And he's probably right about that. So where does this leave us? The NFL is in a really tough spot here. On one hand, they've got a legal and moral obligation to make the game as safe as possible. The concussion lawsuits from former players cost the league billions. They can't just ignore player safety, especially when we know so much more about CTE and long-term brain damage now than we did 20 years ago. On the other hand, they've got a product to sell, and if that product starts looking less and less like football, fans are going to tune out. We already saw ratings concerns during the rule changes of the past decade. People don't want to watch flag football at the professional level. The kickoff specifically is in this weird middle ground. It's exciting when done right. Who doesn't love a kickoff return for a touchdown? But it's also inherently dangerous because of the nature of the play. Maybe the solution isn't to keep tweaking the rules. Maybe it's to invest more in better helmets, better training, better medical protocols. Or maybe we need to accept that football is a dangerous sport, and the players who choose to play it at the highest level understand that risk. The data we're seeing this season suggests the dynamic kickoff might not be the answer everyone hoped it would be. More returns sounds great for entertainment, but not if it means more injuries. Look, the NFL has a decision to make. Do they keep pushing forward with this experiment, hoping the numbers improve as teams adjust? Do they go back to the drawing board and try something else? Or do they just admit this didn't work and bring back the traditional kickoff? My guess? They're going to stick with it for now, collect more data, and then make changes in the offseason. That's just how the league operates. But one thing's for sure. This conversation isn't going away. What do you think? Should the NFL scrap the new kickoff rule, or do they need to give it more time? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more NFL content. I'll catch you in the next one.